So we'll start now. And so I'll do a little blurb in a bit. I want to say a couple little things, but I want to hear what you would finish. Go ahead and finish what you were saying.
Yeah, so we're living in Hervey Bay, which is just above the Sunshine Coast in Queensland, and we were originally going to move back to Perth in Western Australia, and those plans have changed, and now just through chance, this person answered a question of mine a few months ago on this page, I think. And he was like, Atherton. So for the last sort of 6 months, we've been trying to get to Atherton, Queensland. So my question is specifically around, Atherton and that tableland area there. And, I think our biggest hurdle in our head is the underground part. What is it? What's the basic picture that we should be focusing on that's doable and that doesn't feel like we have to go and find a cave that reaches 1,000 feet? Because there's plenty of caves up there, and some are crystal, some are water, some of this, some are old mining ones, some are, or can we do it on our own piece of land?
Okay, so you're asking about how to move forward to the pole shift to survive it reliably, and where you're at roughly, you say Queensland.
Queensland, yeah.
Okay.
So we're currently in, we're not in the right place at the moment, but someone had led us to Atherton.
Someone had led you to Atherton?
Someone had responded to a question I'd written on one of the pages and said that Atherton in North Queensland on the tableland. So we've been trying to plan to move to that place.
Oh,
so
okay.
that's
So you haven't moved?
No.
Not moved, and someone's suggesting Atherton. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So
we've done a lot of research ourselves and kind of thought that yes, it would work. So I do feel really blessed that you're actually able to answer this question for me. Yeah.
All right. So okay, so you've asked quite a wide variety of questions there, right? How to move forward. Now I can cover all that. I can cover all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to organize my thoughts on how best to approach your questions. See, it's easier to answer specific questions. The general questions are a lot harder and sometimes easier to answer, depending on the knowledge of the person doing the asking, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, just safely towards getting ready, for example, getting into a safe location, then getting set up for the pole shift and surviving the pole shift. All right.
That's exactly right.
That's a big question, but I can.
Okay, so I think
all right. Let's do a quick overview. Okay. All right. Because there's different layers of safety. First of all, you have to have a landing pad, right? That is to say, a safe location that is truly safe. Okay. Now, a good thing to do before you start looking is to set your intentions. Okay, so you set your intentions so that you'll have a timely moving forward to your safe location, that you'll find a safe location. It's not necessarily where or when. Leave the details to the universe. Okay. And that it is safe, and it's safe for you and your children and your family. Okay. So that's the first intention you should be setting. Now, do you know how to set an intention?
I believe I do, like that's my my motivation. when I'm sitting there and focusing and visualizing, and that, that's something I'm heading forward into.
Yeah. Okay. So it's yeah. So you decide, and once you've decided that's what you want, then you let it go. Then you go about your normal activity of getting ready, right? And so, and also you include in your setting your intentions how you feel while you are moving forward in a timely manner to your safe location with your family, how you feel with your family in that safe location.
So it's okay to not stress and to do it joyfully.
Yeah, well, that is raising your vibrations is the other, right?
That's what I mean.
Yeah, and I know,
Yeah.
yeah, it truly is. I could branch off on all kinds of thoughts.
I know, it's
Okay,
such huge. So
but we're
huge.
doing okay. So now, so you decide on your safe location. We'll talk about some of them here, and then you have to watch out for your route to the safe location. Make sure the route is solid. Okay, because if you've got say you're living in Brisbane, and you want to go to some town in northern Queensland, say, so you see the piece of property, and so you trace out your route. Of course, you've probably driven the route because you've gone up to look at it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Speaking generally.
But, yeah, but I understand
generally. Okay, I'm doing an overview here. So then you make sure that okay, you know that there's how many bridges you have on that route, and how many times or where the road passes along a river bed, because many times roads travel along a river bed, right? I know Queensland's pretty cool. Queensland's pretty cool because I've looked at different but so you make sure your route is solid. If it isn't, you should have backup routes, right, to get around it, because you just can't, we're not just gonna, unless you're planning to move there directly, you're buying it and moving there, right? So we've got all this stuff to do with kids and school and all the stuff, right? So you'll have to you'll have to decide when it is that you can make that move. And you should make the move, generally, I tell people, by the summer or during the summer of 2022. Okay. So because we know that as 2022 advances, there's going to be a lot of positive political changes, but there's also going to be a lot of Earth, as it's called, Earth.
Yeah.
What I used to call Planet X caused Earth changes, right?
Yeah.
So you'll have to keep an eye on the route and the weather based on your planned transition time. Say you're planning to, so you've set the intention that it all be timely, and that you can also include in your intentions that the route the route should be passable for you as part of this part, right? So now the universe will just move you around to suit that, right? Okay, so that's okay. So that's the same. So, all right. So now you got your safe location idea, right? And so you got the intention. You've also got the route planned. Now you could set another intention that when you get there, or parallel to your first intention, about setting up a bunker, right?
Yeah.
Some type of bunker situation. So I'm focusing on bunkers quite a bit lately. If you've seen some of my other videos, I talk about bunkers, and so we'll talk about that. So you get your bunker or your trench, right? So you setting the intention that be safe and stuff like that for your kids. There's a lot of things to be looked at, right? With kids.
I know.
Yeah. So we could talk about that, because that's what I'm going to focus on bunker ideas for this, and we can talk about safe location and other things too as well, right? So
yeah, no, yeah, I'm absolutely happy with that. That's kind of what feels right. Like I already feel like our a lot of those other things we've got our fingers in, you know what I mean? So, but this part, we have, you know, me and my family, we haven't actually sat down and spoken too much about, and we've found that that's usually because individually we haven't sourced enough kind of information to make those decisions.
Okay. All right. So, okay. So we've launched right in to this session. Now that was an overview. So what we could do for now, as far as since you were okay, starting it off, you're asking about Atherton.
I am.
Okay, so the other thing about safe locations, let me just cover on the safe location concepts, the basic ideas, right? Can't be in a river valley.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely.
I'm not saying this is just for the record, okay? Can't be on a valley bottom either. Right? You can't be on a slope more than 5 degrees or so. 5 degrees. It's easy to find 5 degrees. It's about 5 degrees there, right? Yeah, it's about 5 degrees there.
No more.
5 degree, any more than 5 degrees is my guess would be you start getting well, you're going so okay, so the other thing is you have to avoid that you're safe. Let's say you buy a piece of property, or you rent a piece of property, or you lease a piece of property, that you have hopefully it's either on a rise of land like that, not too close to cliffs or mountains. They can be at a distance, but right, because you don't want a landslide coming down, and right, so you want that. And also you don't want, okay, so you have your property, maybe it's not on a rise of land, maybe it's flat or on several slopes, right? So you make sure that your actual safe location on your piece of property is not in a draw.
Yep.
Right, a draw.
Yeah.
So you got to watch out for that, because that's where because what most people don't realize is that the amount of water that's going to be falling and moving during the pole shift is beyond our imagination, right? So you want to make sure that you've got those.
And this was kind of the thing for me was, we think that we've picked a good location, but it's kind of got those two things happening. It's got nice tablelands, nice plateaus, nice things like that, but then it's also mountainous regions which cops heaps of rain, and there's water. It's like the widest waterfalls in Australia are up there, and things like that. But yeah,
you can find it because you set the intention, you see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I know I keep saying this, but the flip side of that is you want to read the signs.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're reading the signs all the time, right?
Yeah.
And so if you've got to make a decision, you're watching for what I call a waking dream. Okay.
Yep. I've watched your
okay. All right.
Yeah. I've watched a lot of your stuff.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Good. So let's take a look at. You want to look at Atherton?
Yes, please.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh wow! Look at Harvey Bay. Yeah.
So, dang. Atherton. There we go. So what I'm gonna do. Oh, right. Because I was looking at that with another client, the 2,500 feet. Okay, well, that's pretty good for height, that's for sure. And we are, yeah, that'll work. But let's look a little more closely at the landform of Atherton. Oh yeah, I remember being here before talking about it. Well, okay, here we go again. Okay, so
Yeah.
Obviously you don't, the other thing is you don't want to be in a town, directly in a town.
Yep. Copy that. I was watching last night's one and
Okay. All right.
and your talk on that. Yeah.
Okay. So really, you know, really the area works, right?
Yeah, we've actually been exploring, you know, we already had the intention, I suppose, that we would, from moving here, we would then start our exploration
Yeah.
and figure out where and how, you know, we even discovered a bloody pyramid up there that, you know, this mountain called, Pyramid something, and no one's allowed to climb it. And there's all this stuff about it. I'm like, oh my God. All right, things are getting serious.
Nobody's allowed to, okay.
Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, from around there, there's the highest mountain in Queensland's there. It's called Mount Bartle Pierre, I think. But there's lots of options.
Okay, well, what you'll do is, well, okay, so you're looking around there, fine, you know, you've got 2,500 feet. I think you were about 40 miles from the coast, or rough, anyway, you're far enough from the coast, right? So you're good. So you just have to find something up there.
So even just directly next to it looks okay.
Oh, sure. If you're, you know, if you're along these roads here somewhere, yeah.
Anywhere there would be suffice. Okay.
It can, but it's pretty flat. So you got to watch out for flooding. Right?
Yeah. So you don't want to go into the mountains?
Oh yeah, it can work. It can work, but you're going to have to be careful where you choose your location. And of course,
yeah. So like you were saying before, yeah.
Yeah. So if you're, you know, if you're looking at a piece of property up in the mountains, you know, if you're looking at it, right, watch for the signs.
Yeah.
Watch for the signs.
What's the land doing?
No, the signs, like you know, let's say you're reading the newspaper,
and there's a loud bang, or the lightning strikes, or the crow flies in between. Then that's the no. But if your favorite song comes up, or a beautiful song comes from a bird, or the light shines through the clouds straight on your face.
Okay. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay. I remember that one.
Okay. Yeah. That's
yeah.
The way it
okay.
Works, the way it works, right? So. And I was further on that note, I was talking to a friend. He's a local guy, pole shift aware, and I was telling, we were talking about, he's got an issue to do with his brain, and anyway, so I said, you gotta remember that your subjective mind, they call it the unconscious mind, and it truly is unconscious, right? What instructions you give it, because it just takes instruction.
Yeah.
And that's the power mind, right? So that's what setting the intentions is like, okay, oh, that's what they want. Okay, let's go get it, because the nerves of the subjective mind are directly integrated with the body as opposed to what's in the brain. And they are directly connected to the universe and the universal power. So when you decide that and you're clear about what you want, then the universal power will work for you, right?
Yeah.
So it's telling them, make sure that what you tell your subconscious, your mind, yourself, tell yourself, you got to keep it positive.
Yeah. And with some transparency and some clarity. As soon as, you know, mixed messaging or self-doubt. Yeah, I understand.
And the thing is they're okay.
Yeah, of course. I'm human.
Because you don't want, it's just like meditating, you know, you get into a state and a thought comes in your mind, you know, you can like push it out, or you can just let it flow through. Yeah, respectfully disconnect. That's right. You just let it flow through.
Yeah, fantastic.
So we'll go on with some other people, and maybe we'll have time for if you have any more questions later. So does anyone have any more questions? Hi, Dick. Yeah, and oh, hi, Adrian. I recognize you. Hi, Adrian.
Hi,
Wow.
thank you for the
Hi,
invitation.
Brian. Hi,
It's
Brian.
really nice to have everyone here.
Yeah.
Hi, Josh.
Hi, Dick. So Nat has raised his hand.
I'm
Yeah.
Nat.
Oh, you are Nat.
Yes.
Oh, hold it. Oh, hold it. I'm getting the thing confused here. Okay, I see that you're Nat. Okay,
Okay.
there
Yeah.
you go. So, yeah. So you must have a question then. Do you?
Yes. Can I go ahead?
Yes, you can, please.
Okay. So my question is kind of two-part question. For multiple reasons. I am the only one in the family that is aware of pole shift
Yep.
and what's going to happen. So my challenge is having my family on board with
The challenge. Yeah.
picking a safe location where I would like to go. So my question is, I live in the city currently in southwestern Ontario.
Okay.
Okay. So my question is, would it be safe enough to move, say, maybe a short distance away from the city, still be close enough that I can commute to the city for work and such, and be safe enough because I am surrounded by Great Lakes. That's
Yes.
one thing. And I'm west of Toronto.
Okay.
Or do I need to consider someplace more northern Ontario? And again, I don't want to go too far north,
No.
like in around probably my dream would be, and where I have set intentions, and I feel like I've had answers and confirmations about the locations I desire to go to. And it's in around Algonquin Park.
Okay, yeah, that's a good area. Yeah.
Okay. Whether south of Algonquin Park or north of the park, that's where I would want to be. And I understand about being such distance from the sea level, river valleys, lakes, etc. But my question is, how far would you need to be away from, say, a small lake?
Well,
Okay.
it depends on the elevation, right? And
Okay.
is it a lake or a reservoir? That's the first thing to determine, right?
It would be, okay, how do I determine whether it's a lake? On the map, it'll say it's a
Okay.
lake.
Yeah, I know. And it is, yeah. So, well.
And Ontario
have a
has
particular lake in mind.
multitude of lakes.
I know, right. I know there's a lot of lakes in there, but probably
Yeah.
a lake, given that
Yeah.
obviously it's the Canadian Shield, right? So,
Yes.
okay, so we're not talking a specific lake here, are we?
I'm not talking about a specific lake, okay?
Okay.
I mean, my ideal scenario would be to have a group of like-minded people living together in a community.
Right.
And I envision building like Earthship, something that can be partially in the ground,
Yeah.
that could weather the shift itself.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's a
Okay.
whole.
I mean, I would love to get to my location and set up a home, set up my homestead,
Okay.
more or less.
All right.
So where afterwards and before I can start gardening, I can set up my home where I can live in a community of like-minded people
Okay.
together
Sounds like
remotely. That is my dream. That's my dream. And that
Okay.
is the intention I'm setting.
Yeah.
And how it's going to look like. However, I realized that we're kind of running out of time. So to make that happen, we have roots in the city that I'm currently in, with running a business and a job right in the city, a home, which sale of the home is not a big issue. However, my children are at the age where they're not keen on the move. However, I would uproot them and move them and to keep them safe.
Yeah, okay. Okay,
And
well, that's a lot to cover, right?
it is,
It-
yes.
Okay, so, well, obviously, many of these concerns you will address yourself on the fly, right? Because, you know, like so many. Who's that? Oh, that's over here. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let's get back to a specific question. Now, you did ask about
Okay.
about a lake.
Yes,
So
I
what would
asked
you
about a
do?
lake,
Okay.
and my ideal property would be probably unorganized township where multiple dwellings can be built on.
All right. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and ideally, it would be so that there is a lake nearby. Now, how nearby would a lake needs to be, or how far can I need to be away from a small lake, it not to affect me, but it be close enough that
You could access it.
I can access it, go
Yeah.
fishing, have food for that purpose.
Okay. Well, okay. So
Okay.
Zeta Talk tells us that that you should plan on either a river or um, or a lake or a bog area, anything that has water in it.
Mhm.
You find the highest recorded flood level. Okay.
In that
Now,
area.
if it's some little lake in the Algonquin Park, you obviously have to ask the locals,
Mm,
right?
okay.
But if you can, if it's a substantial lake and you can research it, then you find the historical high, and then you multiply it by 3.
Okay.
Okay, and bear in mind, you know, the amount of rain that'll be falling is beyond our imagination. So to make
Okay.
sure that you know you're well placed on a rise of land, on preferably on rock, which
Or
would be
Northern
hard.
Ontario, it's all rock.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
Yes,
So
my
that's good.
challenge is
Yeah,
if I
soil.
get there and start digging
Yeah.
to build my earthship, I may have to use explosive or something to
Yeah.
get down
Yeah, so
into
you set the intention that you have soil, right?
soil. Yeah, for sure.
And you can gather soil too, right? So if you've got a wheelbarrow, you can
True.
gather.
Yeah.
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 So, yeah, so you make sure that's included in your setting your intentions, right? That you have soil for
Okay.
growing, right? And
Right.
yeah, so that's, excuse me, so that's one way of dealing with that's the best way, because that's the Zeta Talk way. That's what they suggest. Okay.
Okay.
So now, did you have any, okay, regarding your family, so you're just talking about your kids and a partner,
My kid's partner, yep, life
and they're
tied
not,
to in
and
the city,
obviously, you
right?
wouldn't expect the kids necessarily, although I have a couple of friends on the
Yeah.
internet that do have kids that are been posted for wear for years when they were little, right? So,
Yeah.
but at any rate, yeah, so where were we? The thing is not to force it with family, right? And
Right. So if I was to not to force the family, and I can see convincing them to move just outside the city. So that's why one of my questions was, would it be safe enough to be outside the city, say 30 kilometers?
yeah,
from the city.
Yeah,
But is that area sort of
a small
west of
city,
Toronto,
a small town, not a large town.
right? Or even just in the country,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
because, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. The trouble is, in the southwestern Ontario, the real estate has gone through the roof, and to buy a
Right.
property,
yeah.
it's very difficult.
Well, you know, okay,
But it may be possible in getting something small, nothing
yeah, to
too big.
bear in mind that once a pole shift hits, you know,
Not gonna matter.
yeah, you know, um, the neighbors, if they survive, and we hope they will, you know,
Mhm.
but, you know, fencing and boundary will all be gone anyways.
Okay.
So it'll be a question of collaboration anyways,
Mhm.
and with who's ever left alive, frankly,
Right.
right?
So
So
would you anticipate?
you would set your intentions that you have enough land for what you want to do, right? And you want to grow, and you want to have a number of different outbuildings. You want to have a small community of people. So you set that intention for that to happen.
Yeah.
Okay, and let the universe do the work.
Yeah.
Right. Obviously, you'll have to do your looking, and as you move forward, right? Getting back to the family, you know, so many people are in the same boat. You know, it's obviously even basic psychology is you can't force somebody to see your point of view, right? So
Exactly. And the thing is, I don't think that I need to, because they're gonna see it,
all right,
right?
good.
So,
It sounds like
and
you've already got that going.
I do
Okay,
preparing my food as we speak.
okay, great, okay.
Ah, So,
So, yeah, Algonquin Park is a great area. Now let's take a look at something, because south of Algonquin Park, we got stuff going on.
right, which is the escarpment, the Niagara escarpment that
Well, yeah, that's gonna
that
go.
travels, right?
Yeah, that's gonna go. Yeah, here it is here. So south of Algonquin Park is where, so I don't know how close you're planning and getting to.
I mean, I would love to get even south of Algonquin Park, or
Okay.
even north of Algonquin Park, on the border of Quebec and Ontario.
Okay,
I mean, it's like the area is beautiful, it's lush.
it won't be
It would be,
after the pole shift.
it
I'm
won't
sorry
be
for
after the,
chuckling, but you choose your well, okay, because you want to choose your property for pragmatic
Mhm, right, like elevation and
pragmatic,
such.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so let's go back to the share. So south, we know that if you look at the land here, you can see my cursor through here,
Mm-hmm.
Martha Lakes, and from no, that is I believe that's the Gulf of St. James. I can never find it. Oh, Georgian Bay. No wonder I couldn't
Yes.
find it, because Georgian Bay. So there's going to be a lot of stretch going on between Georgian Bay
Mm-hmm.
to Kingston through here.
Okay.
So you don't want to be too close to there, because
Okay.
that's why these lakes are all shaped this way, because of prior
Mhm.
pole shift stretching the land out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right. But higher up, where the rock turns into 4.5 billion years old, which is
Right.
Algonquin Park,
Okay.
right? That's where I mean, the rock down here, if I remember, is about 2 or 3 million years old.
Mm-hmm.
But the rock up here, there's a dividing line, and this stretch point is along the dividing line between the pretty old rock to the very, very, very oldest rock on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I wouldn't wander too far towards the Kawartha, the lake areas down here, if you can see right in here,
Right.
frankly. But
Mhm.
actually, having said that, I meant to say down here, the Kawartha Lake through this lower down,
Yes.
okay?
Okay. Yeah.
Up here should be pretty good. But then,
Okay.
of course, you're setting your intentions and that you are, so just be not too far down, not the Kawartha Lakes area. That's what I'm
Mhm.
saying, okay?
Okay. What about south of that? What would you say?
South of what? South of Kawartha Lakes?
Kawartha Lakes, yes.
South of them?
Hmm.
Well, now you're into a much higher population.
Exactly. So
Don't recommend that.
no.
No,
Yeah. I mean, that's what I don't want.
I wouldn't.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I would probably not go without my family. That's the challenge.
Okay, but you're setting your intentions.
Yes, I am.
Okay, so your intention, you set those intentions, then they're going to happen. So you have to just have to kind of maintain the status quo, what you're doing, and you know you're looking after all your obligations and stuff like that, and you're doing the looking, and but you set the intentions, right? Because your children are
Right.
under your care,
Yep.
right? So, and you might ask for a waking dream to say, okay, what, you know, how's my status on my husband as far as Polish is concerned?
Yeah.
So
It's funny. Yeah. Speaking of waking dreams, I actually had one, and I own a business. So, and on a computer, there was a page open that someone else was looking at it at. And I just was thinking in my mind, where should I go? And one of the tabs were open was Algonquin Avenue. And I was like, what? You kidding me? Algonquin Avenue? So I just thought, okay, well, that could be a confirmation of the location where I should be looking.
yeah. The keyword being Algonquin,
Algonquin, yeah.
as opposed to the road.
A road, correct.
As
It was
opposed to the road.
somebody was looking for an address, but to
Yeah.
me, I just formulated a question in my mind, and it was, where do I need to go?
Yeah,
And I just happened to open the tab, and it said Algonquin Avenue, and I'm like asking, what were you looking? And it was, I guess it was a delivery we were making, and it
okay.
was Algonquin Avenue.
So the keyword being Algonquin Park.
Algonquin.
Park.
Mhm.
Right, okay.
Park, or in that region.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you're getting that, so I just wanted to say that waking dreams are always coming your way.
Hmm.
So that's just the one you saw. Or you
The one I saw.
Yeah.
Yes, the
okay.
one I paid attention and
There
recognized.
you go, because they're always coming your way, right? So that's cool. So yeah, so and the other flip side of that is it's clear that you will be moving there, to me, because otherwise you wouldn't have got the Algonquin,
Hmm.
you see.
Okay.
Right?
Exciting.
Okay, so that's the way it works, right? It's like, so we're not, you know, our education in this culture has completely screwed us up.
Oh, tell me about it. Don't get me started.
I know. Yeah. And so it's all about, you know, we are God and we are the carriers of that, right? So yeah. So alrighty then. So are we good for now? Or did you have another?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think that deep inside, I had all the answers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
that's
it's
what I'm
just confirmation, even though I had that.
getting.
And it's nice to hear a secondary confirmation.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So it's just, I think, a matter of getting my family on board and dealing with the affairs in the city, getting those taken care of,
Mhm.
in order to make the move, and it'll be a huge step of faith into the unknown.
Yeah. Unknown by us.
Unknown by us, and for us the unknown can be very stressful.
Yeah, it is extremely stressful.
Right?
I can
It can
attest
be.
to that.
So especially when you have to give up your livelihood
I know
in order to
the switch up.
take that leap of faith, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a switch up because we're so plugged into our current lifestyle.
Yeah.
But raising your vibrations is so important, right? So you can keep your mind, your body elevated, and happy. And you're thinking about beautiful things and good things. And I know I struggle with it too, because I have my issues and stuff that's going on for me. So yeah, and you ask your spiritual guides for help as well. I mean, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure they're going to help you anyways, because you've got the waking dream. That's where it comes actually comes from your oversoul, in my opinion. That's where your true self, it comes from your true self, the waking dream information, right? So okay, good. All right, so we'll move on to somebody else.
Okay.
Okay, and then
Thank you so much, Chris.
you're welcome, and feel free to hang in.
For sure.
Yeah. Hey, Bob. Bob's here. Nice to see you, Bob. Bob's my friend. And yeah, so hi, Brian. Nice to see you. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm on and off because we have house guests and stuff, but
Okay.
these are people who are clued in to the pole shift, and it's
Oh, awesome.
amazing.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
And on your advice, I'm going to be burying a large compound bunker in the backyard so
Okay.
that, like, when and if the marauders, oh geez, come through, they'll hit this main house and they'll get some Windex, and we'll be sitting pretty in back there, and then restart civilization from there.
Okay. Okay. All right.
I'm gonna clear out this whole hillside back here
I see.
and
Oh,
bury a 2-story compound. Make sure we have backup water, food, electricity. I'm joining together with other people, and I'm saying, hey, we're gonna make a space for you, and the more energy and of your own resources that you put in, the nicer spot you'll have in the after time when we rebuild.
yeah. Awesome. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, thanks for showing. It's getting there dark there, I see. Yeah, it's cool. Nevada. Nevada. The mountains of Nevada. All right. Thanks, Brian. Then if we don't have any questions directly, then I'll just get into talking about bunkers. The basic bunker is getting below ground in a trench. And the difference, of course, here is that we have an open air roof. There's no roof. So the main thing is to put in a roof, probably multiple layers, and with steel being on the top, and then perhaps some type of heavy beams first, or 2 or 3 sheets of plywood that are screwed together as a subroof, and then buried and staked into the ground on either side, very, very securely staked in, and then attach the corrugated metal roof to the plywood, and then cover it with dirt and or sandbags, and then dirt. So we've got 2 or 3 layers of plywood, then you've got steel, then you've got sandbags, and then you've got a big mound of dirt on top, right? So however you make the sides, what it's going to look like on the sides, I don't know. I haven't actually started anything like that myself, but that's the basic plan, loosely aligned with the Zeta Talk ideas. Okay. An idea I had would be to have, instead of having just a trench going one way, just like, for example, 10 feet long, right? Have one that's maybe 8 or 9 feet or whatever feet long, and then have it at right angles, another one attached to it. That way, if you need to have an alternative position within the trench because of winds or other factors, you'd have an option to move to a different angle in a different part of the trench. So that is one idea I had. Obviously, the whole thing will have to be roofed. And of course, the other really important feature, which they didn't really show, and they don't really show in these World War I trenches, is drainage. And no doubt they had drainage arrangements, but you definitely want to make sure that the water can either flow through the trench underneath a floor. So going back to the idea here, you notice the soldiers standing on a floor. So you can see the water there. So you want a floor, and you want a passageway underneath for the water to flow through. And perhaps your floor would have slats in it or what have you, so that water could pass through it and down underneath and pass out the.
May I ask a question?
Yeah, I'll just finish my thought. So yeah, and I got you, Kelly. So that the water could pass out the trench entirely, and so it's drained away from the trench on both sides of the trench. Yeah, go ahead, Kelly.
I just wanted to be reminded of the length of time we were looking at for having to be in these bunkers, or if it was, the day-night switch, or if it will just be for those couple of days.
Okay, well, that's the other thing, isn't it? That's the other thing. You build some type of underground home, right? So that you didn't have to transition from the house to the trench, speaking generally. Right, Kelly?
That would be ideal, yes.
You're buying property. Does the property have a tumble down old cottage on it? Or some cottage or some little house? Ideally, that would be good, right?
Yeah.
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
So that's going to be gone during the pole shift. The rocks and the wind will take that out. So now you have rotation stoppage on the 28th of January, 2023.
Yeah.
Okay, so then now, speaking of which, from about the 18th of December, when the sun stops in the sky, depending on where you are, if you're in the Pacific areas or maybe, the Western North America, South America, or Asia, or somewhere in the Pacific, hopefully not. But those areas it'll be dark during rotation stoppage.
Yeah.
Okay. So now it's like, okay, well, the sun hasn't come up, right? The hours pass. Oh God, I guess we're into it now, right? Rotation stoppage, right? So people that are in the darker areas,
So yeah, we're in Australia, so
not know for a few hours, right? But if you plan it and I keep trying to go over these plans, I realize I'm on a tangent. There's so many tangents when it comes to this discussion.
Yeah.
But we're going towards the whole idea of transition from the house and the kids, you know, into the trench, how long in the trench, right? So we're talking about that. But in order to do that, you really need to know, is it orbit stoppage or not, right? Now, it's not going to matter that much because, well, because you know, after 6 or 7 or 8 hours pass, it's still dark, right? Well, then you know you're into rotation stoppage. Now you know you've got 6 conventional days to pull. Conventional days, 24-hour days, which are fast becoming
Longer.
history, right?
Yeah.
Now, this is by probably microseconds or by
Yeah.
tiny.
Because you were
tiny
talking
amounts.
about keeping that calendar, you know, and marking down your 24-hour periods and yeah.
Yeah, so that you're staying in line with, okay, looks like we're about an hour late, you know.
Yeah.
So December 18th, that's when it really starts to pick up, right? So you could guesstimate, you know, but if you watch your waking dreams, it'll tell you. But anyways, so the point is
Yeah.
you want to have some kind of idea that you are into or rotation stoppage.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. So now you know you got 6 conventional days. Then your old-fashioned mechanical clock will work now.
Yeah.
Call out your old alarm clock and keep winding it up. And those 20, that's based on the 20. Okay, so now, okay, so now that's great. But now you got to make the transition. Of course, meanwhile, the weather is getting crazier and crazier, right? When we got rotation stoppage, okay, so that what that really means is I'll show you.
Chris, while you're pulling that up, there's also from the prepper perspective, the sooner you're prepared, the better, because there's the pole shift main event stuff, but there's when society catches on and all these, like they're shutting down the colonial pipeline. Now we can't get oil and now you can't get this and that. So it's almost like, yeah, you know, if you can't order it now is my kind of perspective, because why not?
That's the prepper. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree.
Absolutely.
However, we are going through an amazing political situation. I hate talking about politics, but this is, I detest it. But where we're going is we're going to a much freer society, right? Through what's happening to the rounding up of the New World Order and the Illuminati, you know, they're all being rounded up, right? So we are going to go to that. So that's going to change. That's going to open up more vistas. The prices are actually going to drop, apparently. So if it were me, I would sell my property before Gessera and buy after. It's in the new year. That's what I would do. Right.
So how long? So I suppose what I was wondering is how long are we going to have to shelter from the impact? Like, when will we be able to come back outside?
Okay, well, pretty much right away, except that you have to do it at night.
Oh, you were saying hours, were you? As soon as Nibiru sort of starts moving away?
Yeah. Yeah, oh yes. But the thing is that we'll have less than half our atmosphere.
That's right.
Talk, right? So that means a lot of UV
nighttime,
radiation, which means you're outside from dusk to dawn. So I mentioned this in my last video, we'll do it again. So we've got
on the bulging. Come here, darling.
We've got Nibiru coming up on this side here, just from this angle, okay? So we've got, okay, so what's happening is I can't get the scale But Nibiru, let's say Nibiru is here, 15 million miles out, okay?
Yeah.
So what happens is that Earth gets drawn up towards it. In the, shall we say, the day before or so, and that's when Nibiru gets, if you can see it, that's when it starts to grow really large, 2/3 the size of the moon, I believe. That means that Earth is being lifted out of its orbit towards Nibiru.
Yeah.
So, what's happening then? First, Earth will come to a rotation stoppage, and then as Nibiru gets close enough, it gets pulled upwards towards Nibiru. Okay, and that's when you start getting the rock and iron oxide dust and the falling crude oil. Okay, and it's happening now. It's happening now. It's happening right now. We're getting drips and drabs of the
in the sky.
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
right.
okay, so now that's why we get all that debris coming at Earth, right? So so when you start seeing the iron oxide dust falling like rain or like in the wind.
And is that the red sediment that you see in a lot of photos? Right.
Now it's happening now, right? But it'll be very, very consistent and very thick. So it starts with the problem would be dust and with it as well, which the iron oxide is dust. And then that'll increasingly get larger and larger in particulate until you get boulders in the wind at 200 miles an hour, my guess, okay? Not 1,000 miles an hour, not 500 miles an hour. Because you get people saying that on the internet, right? It's just max, pretty much, I think category 5 winds, sustained, right? So we've got all that going on. So you'll know, okay, so now here you are in the house, right? So how do you get from the house to the trench in a time in a, you know, without having to spend 4 days in the trench with crying kids, you know? So that's the question that you'll have to address, right?
Yeah.
Now, I had the idea, a few ideas, that you have or you get yourself a tornado shelter, a large one, you know, could accommodate your family, or 2, okay, and stick them right in the house.
Yeah.
And I know I've said this before, right? So that's one strategy. So now you've got some place for the kitty bugs to be in, and you got one, you know, you got all kinds of cookies and milk in there, and you know, and maybe you know, some whiskey and some beer for you. Probably whiskey wouldn't be a good idea, but you know, yeah, I'd be out there railing at Planet X.
Hopefully, yes.
Bring it on.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So yeah, so then you got your stuff right in the house, right? And the house gets destroyed. You're in the and so now you still have access to what's left of a toilet in the days leading up to the pole shift, right? And maybe you've got some cooking stuff arranged there, making sure you shut down any gas or all that stuff down. Make sure you know you got any white gas. You know, you're gonna have to figure out how to deal with that cooking gas. You probably want to set it aside in some type of secure container or something.
Yeah.
You don't want to waste it, right?
Yeah.
So That's one, okay, so obviously you're keeping an eye on the weather as it gets worse and worse, right? So it,
Yeah.
you know, so at the point where, you know, it's no longer dust, you know, maybe you want to set up some type of a blind or something, some sort of a fence arrangement, a dual, maybe even a little covered walkway to the trench. Okay, because it'll sustain a certain amount, right? But at least it'll give you an option to get through a walkway, a covered walkway to the trench, right? And then you're in the trench for, you know, a day or two, maybe waiting.
Yeah.
You know, that's one option. The other is to spend the money and build a bunker big enough to house the family, to put a porta potty in there, to have a little stove
Just wait, please.
to cook a few things. Maybe you don't want to cook, right? Maybe it might be safe you didn't cook. You said you had pre-cooked meals and just ate it.
Yeah.
That might be a route to go. You know, and lots of water, and a way to dispose, to clear out the porta potty, something to deal with that. So then now you've got a bunker. You spend the money and you have somebody build, or you build it yourself, a 6, 7 foot, 8 foot poured concrete, and then the ability.
What if you were to put a C4 container in the ground?
A steel container?
Yeah, like a I don't
Yeah.
actually know. If I've
Yeah,
got the
that-
ability to turn you around.
That would only work. Oh, I see, you've got one. Yeah, okay.
That's my parents' one actually.
Okay, that was not reinforced.
Yeah, well, it's got like air and it's brand new. Yeah, reinforced. I'm pretty sure it is.
It doesn't look like it, but
Okay.
the sides have to be reinforced.
Okay,
So
right.
you should, because if you bury that, now I had the idea that, let me see if I can find, okay, so it was a steel container that was in a trench, which is below the roof of the trench. The steel container was below ground by a foot or so, right? And it was a picture somebody had taken before they backfilled it. Because typically what they do is they backfill it, you know.
Sure. So there's space all the way actually around the container, and then they could reinforce the top with beams or, like you were saying, plywood
On the
or
sides,
corrugated iron and dirt.
Yeah, probably the roof as
Examples.
well. But I was looking at the steel container, and it was this this guy on Facebook I follow. Most of it's not that great. It's all prepper stuff.
Yeah.
Present preppers accepted. But
Peace.
yeah, but it was hadn't been backfilled yet, and the title of the page is "Don't bury your steel container; it'll collapse on you." It has to be. It's not a safe way to store for a storage. Now, let me finish. Right, that was the page, and I'm sitting here looking at it. Well, why then backfill it? Why not? Don't backfill it. You got it in a trench. Don't backfill it.
Yeah. Oh my God.
But there's different ways of supporting the sides, right? There's one I saw, God, if I can just find it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can't seem to find it, but it had railway ties laid along the side of it, right?
Yeah.
So that is another way of reinforcing. Again, use your waking dreams, right?
Well, I was just thinking, like, because my partner's a boilermaker by trade. He's a welder. And you're showing me these pages, and I'm like, oh my God, look at all these magnificent freaking designs. So I'm like, yep, that's all I needed. I just got to
You're
look
gonna
at
save so much time if you just.
I know. So Oh, that's
He's a welder and a boilermaker. Well, he'll probably know.
yeah.
He'll know
So
it's not strong enough. He'll know it automatically.
yeah. So
Good, good.
I'm just glad I actually got to see you scroll through those couple
No,
of
it's good.
pages
I'm
because
just joking.
so that was fantastic actually. Yeah.
In that case, then he could build something out of steel that you could use as a home.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, you could probably take existing steel structures and have them brought to the location.
Yep.
And go ahead and weld them and weld up a house.
Yeah.
Right. And then
So I can just search for some designs. I can just search up some stuff. Yeah.
It's the only problem I would see would be rust. I'm sure you could figure something out. Give it lots of coats of fiberglass, gel coat or something, right? But I'm sure you'll come up with something. Sounds like you got something going there.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
Okay, you're welcome. Right. So there's a couple questions in the chat here. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so is PR McCarman still here?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, there you are. Oh, I see. Okay.
Yes. I live in Puerto Rico and you said that it's unsurvivable, but that address is from a friend of mine and I want to know if it is safe for them.
Okay, let's take a look at that location. Okay. Well, more or less far from my perspective, it's far enough from Mexico City, it's far enough from the volcanoes. It's at 6,000 feet, so no worry about the sea. So it would just be a matter of getting into the countryside nearby and finding a location. But the town itself, of course, that they're near would be very dangerous, right?
Excuse me, could you please repeat that it's not safe?
What was your question again? Sorry, could you ask again?
Oh, it's not safe?
Our actual address is geologically more or less okay, right?
Okay,
But,
okay.
But they wouldn't want to stay there, frankly, right?
Why?
Well, you're too close to the to a city.
Okay, and what happens if it is so near to a city?
You have all kinds of thieves and
Situations?
Thieving and let me tell you, there was a story I saved. I'll just tell it to you. It's a story about this town somewhere in the world, doesn't matter where it is, but they feed these monkeys, and there's a huge population of monkeys. And for some reason, that either the people that come to visit the city, or the town, or the people in the town, but they constantly feed these monkeys. And so recently, there was a food shortage, and the monkeys started to raid the homes for food, which they weren't doing before. So I thought that was a very good example of what's going to happen to people.
All right, all right.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, because the people will be they won't be asking for food, they'll be demanding it.
Yes, yes.
So you definitely do not want to be near a city in the pole during the pole shift. Yeah, during the for your safe location, you want to be out, so you can't be seen. You don't want to engage anybody, right?
All right.
I mean, it's unless it's a very, very, very small village in a good location that's remote, and that the villagers all work together, which is probably the case, right? In some remote village in Mexico, which can work, right? That could work generally, right? Because people are already already cooperating. But in our society today, I know I walk downtown, which I do less and less these days if I can get away with it. But you look at people, nobody looks at you anymore. Nobody really says hi. It does happen. It does happen, but it's more rare. I remember back in the day when you went downtown, you would talk to people. It was a natural that people would talk to you and, you know, and want to get to know you a little bit, right?
Yes.
Frankly, that's what I'm like anyways. I'll go down and I'll talk to people like that, because I refuse to be programmed into this automaton going into town to get the food, and my support structure is at home, and I don't need anybody. Well, I need people. I love people, right? So I refuse to be taken into that. But a lot of people are, you know, they're too busy to stop and say hello or to be kind or whatever, right? Some people are, but anyways, that's so. But yeah, so that's my suggestion is do not. So it's really not safe where they're at.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
But
Okay. Thank you.
But they have options in you know.
Near
Okay. Yeah.
Mexico, they have
Well,
other
you
options.
know, maybe 20 miles out. Again, it's all about being remote from the city. Okay.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay. So Diane is here, I think. Yeah. Hi, Diane. So I understand that your mic is stuffed. Wasn't it stuffed the last time you were here? I think it was. They don't cost much, you know. So I'll read it out loud for the video. Got a question from a call the other week where Nibiru's path was being discussed with that awesome globe map you had. Globe map. Wondering about where the tail will hit the hardest, or will some places in the world be hit less? We are in New Zealand. Well, that's a question I've asked myself lots of times over the years. Will it hit harder in certain areas and less in other areas? The fact is that the tail is so large that it wraps around Earth. So there would be, if there's any area that would be hit less hard, it would be by luck and not by planning. So that would be my answer to that. So you should prepare for the worst. Just like Carl was saying in the last video, prepare for the worst and things will go much smoother. I think that's the reality. Adrian, with a link here. This is what Adrian shared, but that roof will get destroyed. You see. I mean, this is the thing. The bunker needs to be, or the house that you're planning to build needs to be underground. I mean, you can dig it out later. I mean, you could have this, for example, this doesn't look, oh, that looks like a steel container in there. Anyways, you could have this, but before the pole shift, you cover the whole thing with sandbags. And then a layer of 3 or 4 feet of soil. Then it would work. And we have another link here from Adrian. So yeah, so this is the video of that image, right? That, well, you didn't see that. Oh, I can't remember now, but anyways, so it works if you cover the whole thing up, right? Strip, you know, even take those panels off, obviously, and cover the whole thing with sandbags, with 1,000 sandbags. And then you're good, right? And then we've got the, here you can see them bringing these big 20-footers in. Yeah, side by side, yeah. And of course, they're going to backfill. Now look what they've got here. Let me pause this here. Oops. Look what they've got on the side here. Reinforcing.
And what do you think that's made out of? Is that just like a ply?
I don't know what that is. It's white. It's
It almost looks
you know
like a
what? You know
ball.
what? The video is in the chat, right? So you could
they're huge. Oh my God.
put it into your browser.
Yeah.
And find out, but it looks rigid, extremely rigid. So yeah. Yeah, it looks it has to be rigid, of course, right? But
Yeah.
you got the right idea. So that's that, Kelly, there you go. There's your reinforcement, right?
Yeah.
And so the only thing here, of course, is where is the drainage?
Yeah, they just showed pictures of like a fridge and,
This
you know,
is,
like, yeah.
this is why I say that these people creating these homes like this, they are not thinking pole shift.
Yeah, right.
So you'd want all kinds of drain tile running along this rigid area here.
I just wanted to point out, I've only got 10% battery left. And if this does shut down and I leave, I just wanted to say a huge thank you.
Okay.
And I'm so grateful for the opportunity.
Okay, you're welcome. You're welcome, Kelly. So yeah, so thank you, Adrian, for that. This is, I think I saw this. Oh, here, here's another. Okay, I've seen this guy in another video. Yeah, I've seen this video before. Somebody showed it to me. I'm going back. Those, now he's got some pretty good steel here, right? But those, these are going to get knocked off, and but he's got some good steel here. Whether they would survive, I don't know. What I would do is I would build pour concrete rings around these here, right? And lose these.
Yeah, that's a light source, isn't it? Is that a light source?
Yeah. Well, you're collecting light, right? So file these, and then pour again concrete rings around here, reinforced, so they're higher than the lip, right? And then you put well, I don't know, you figure something up, put some screen on it or something, or some type of baffle to keep the rain from actually dropping right into your house. You come up with some kind of rain baffle, right? So that I think this steel might be strong enough, but I would reinforce it with concrete around it so it doesn't get destroyed. Yeah, there's always a problem. And of course, these I was thinking, of course, these would be air vent, but they're light vents.
And so what about breathable air? Like, are we
this is what I was thinking these were going to be. You lose the light idea and then convert them to, or one of them to light, and well, you want lots of ventilation. So you just have to come up with some ideas, but you definitely have to have ventilation.
Yeah.
But I was just commenting on this idea, the concept, this idea.
For sure.
No, forget the lighting. We want venting, but we have to reinforce the vents.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is MC. If we cannot bunker in a trench or in the ground, undiggable soil, etc., being unfamiliar with the land. Oh, it's Melanie. Hi,
Hi,
Melanie.
Chris. Yeah, that's me.
Yeah. Can we seek a concrete culvert? Okay, so let's go back to here. I hope that's it. Was this what you were wondering about?
Yeah, so I was it's just to plan for redundancies. So I was trying to find an example that is so it's
Yeah.
not under a bridge because we know bridges will collapse. So it's just like a concrete culvert like that. I don't know, along a road somewhere.
Oh, yeah. Well, you're going to use your waking dreams, right? Right? I mean, like you're looking at it, right? And a white dove just comes flying right out of it.
Oh,
Then you know it's good, right?
mm.
I mean, it looks very well made, right? It looks well made. Yeah. Yeah. So that's a definitely a possibility. The problem is it is man-made, so you've got to access your waking dreams to make sure that that's going to work. Okay. I had the idea, if you have any railways nearby, because railways, if you look at after the path of a tornado, after a tornado is passed,
Uh-huh.
the railway is untouched.
You mean the underground tunnels?
No, the railway itself, the bed, the ties, the steel tracks,
Oh, I
are all
see.
intact. And all the houses and trees are all torn up, right? If you see it in these, in these pictures where the media has allowed the public to know at least about one tornado or two, right? And if you look at the pictures, and this is a railway involved, the railway is I've never seen one torn up or broken, the ties or anything, right? Okay, so I had the idea that if you had a railway nearby and there was a tunnel underneath the railway, that would be the rail itself would provide a strength. Okay.
Yeah, that's a good tip because on the map it's easy to look for railways and you just kind of scout
Yeah,
out.
so if you can find a tunnel, a railway, or some where the water is passed. Oh, the only thing you got to watch out for, of course, is that there might be water going through that tunnel, right? So you're gonna have to figure all that out. But that's just one thing I had. Actually, what I was thinking is actually digging underneath the railway and putting in something there, some type of a culvert, your own. I mean, this is a crazy idea I had, but I wanted to throw that out because I'm just trying to come up with as many possible ideas for safe locations for people. Okay, this is Liz. I'm from New York City and I would like to know safe zones in New York. You're talking about New York State, of course.
Yes. Hi, how are you?
Hi, Liz. The other state options I am possibly able to go is New Mexico or Palm Desert in California. Forget Palm Desert in California.
Gotcha.
New Mexico works. It's good, strong land. The only thing is water. Problem is desert survival, unless but New York State has options. I'm talking about that craton right there.
Okay.
Right there. Okay. That's good and strong. It's far enough from New York City. Of course, you've got you've got Lake Champlain and the towns along the way there. So you'll have people migrating into the hills as this flood ensues after the pole shift to late 2024. But so you'll have people, you know, moving up into the hills here on the fringes, right, on foot. But if you're back from there in the mountains, this is all really good land.
Okay.
You just have to make sure that you're not too close to a cliff or a mountainside that's too steep, right? And
Mhm.
that you're not too close to a river or a lake, right?
Okay.
That will overflow. And you know, all these roads, they all run along the, you know, the river valleys, right? And they're all going to be washed out, right?
Mhm.
But the land is good.
I see. Okay.
Okay. So you come up with some ideas there and come on back and I'll comment on the, if you give me coordinates, right?
Okay.
So this is pretty cool, this area here, right? It's not too
Um,
steep, right?
Is that
So along
east
the
or
number
what?
three, along the number
East-
3 here.
Wait, hold on. Number 3, you said?
Yeah, see the number 3 there?
Yes. Now I see it.
Right. So this area here is pretty cool. It's not too steep here,
Okay.
someplace in here.
Is that east of the
Yeah,
lake
it's
Champlain?
west of the, you want to be west. You want to be west, in my opinion.
Gotcha.
There will be good land in the White Mountains. These are White
Mhm.
Mountains, right? Or is it the Green Mountains? Anyways, and there will be land up here that you can go. Here's the White Mountains there, right? But you want to be hidden. Really, it's the same thing all around the world. You just want to be. You don't want to be. Not. You just want to be seen, right? Okay.
Gotcha.
But you've got options here. Even in more like in these areas here in the lake, what do they call these? The Finger Lakes area.
Finger Lakes area. Yeah.
Yeah, there's areas in here that work as well. So you have
Okay.
options.
Okay. And I don't know if you're able to tell me in Washington State.
Yeah, Washington State. Why, do you have some family there or some type of?
I have a friend, but she's very close to the city though. She's in Seattle.
Yeah, well, Seattle's toast, right? The town of Republic
Okay.
in Eastern Washington.
Eastern.
Yeah, Eastern Republic. It's a town. That's
Gotcha.
it's a cool spot. Come on back if you have some coordinates, okay? And
Thank
you've got options in New York.
Okay. Thank you so much. I
Just
really
don't be
appreciate it.
seen.
Don't be seen.
Don't be seen.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Adrian. Okay, Adrian. Okay. Recently, I read that the poll shift is going to happen in 2026. Okay. All right. Here's the question. Are you still here, Adrian? Yeah. Okay.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Okay. Here's the question. Recently, I read the pole shift is going to happen in 2026. My question, should we expect it to take place in 2023 or 2026? Okay. Okay. So I get asked about once a week on this. But since we're recording this, okay. 2026 is a year. And now you're saying 2023, and I'm assuming you're meaning my date of the poll shift of February the 4th, 2023, right? Okay, so the Zetas, okay, so it's a Zeta Talk publication, the 2026, which is based on a suggestion that they made. There was some the details. Remember the details in the 2026, Adrian? It was something to do with some.
Yeah, I have a link if you want. I can share.
Yeah, I guess at this point it's not that important. I decided to drop it. It was predicted a number of years ago, maybe even decades ago, by somebody, and it was something like that. Okay. Now, Zeta Talk is the most important website on the planet right now. And it's been that way since it started, right? So anyone in power knows about Zeta Talk, right? So the Zetas work from the upper fourth dimension. So they see pretty much everything that's going on in the minds and the hearts of people who are living on Earth, because we are on a lower dimension. So the fourth dimension actually surrounds our dimension. So there's nowhere we can go and not be seen and understood at a glance by a person who's observing us from the fourth dimension. Now, so, all right, so that's a fact. Now, but the deal is that Zeta Talk would never be allowed to publish the date of the pole shift. Because if that was to happen, they'd find themselves ejected from this area in an instant by the Council of Worlds. Now that was, I believe, paraphrased from something I read from Zeta Talk at some point. They actually said something like that very clearly. So they are not, they have protocols and rules that they have to follow. So why would they say the year 2026? Well, it's the similar in a way to why they had the May 15th date of the pole shift for 2003, it was known as a white lie, which I researched to death. It's in my book. I researched everything on that. It's in my book. Now they did that to expose George W. in his intentions to commandeer the oil fields of Iraq before what he thought was going to be the pole shift. So that's how they exposed George W., right? So he's toast, of course. He was toast a long time ago. And he was replaced by his brother, who is actually a clone, who was actually, I believe, has been executed as part of the early sweep that Trump was involved in, not that him directly, but okay. So that's, we're off topic here. So because every bad person on the face of the planet reads Zeta Talk, they cannot publish the date of the pole shift. But they can make suggestions, and obviously this was approved, right? So that's my response basically on the 2026, and it's a year anyways, right? Now so I get challenged on this regularly on my date, the pole shift. So my response is that the date was given to me, I didn't ask for it. And I believe it's given to me because I'm doing this particular work right now. What we're doing right now is because that's why I was given the date. My opinion is that humans have the right to know the date of the pole shift, because we are facing the pole shift, and we are human, and we are on Earth, and we are going to have feet on the ground during the pole shift. So I believe that we deserve to know the pole shift date. What I say is that who's going to believe some old guy living in Western Canada that he would know the pole shift? Yeah. Really, let's face it. What low-level politician would even glance my way, right? That's so I'm way under the radar here, right? Way under the radar. You get all these guys, God bless them, all these guys on YouTube, and they're doing good work exposing this and that, right? and they're high visibility, right? Not me. I don't care. Because if I can help one or two people, maybe a half a dozen, or live through the pole shift, that's all I want. I mean, I want more, right? So I was given the date one morning when I woke up by Archangel Michael. I already knew that 2023 would be the year. I told you about that, about Baba Vanga.
Mhm.
Okay, so you heard of it. Have you heard me talk about Baba Vanga?
Yes.
You're going to hear it again then. I was reading Baba Vanga, and she said, of course, if anyone does research on Baba Vanga, a Bulgarian amazing psychic, on the scale, well on the scale of Edgar Casey, right? If they read her stuff, she was amazing. And she said that during that Earth in 2023, Earth shall leave her orbit. And when I read that in 2016, I thought, oh my God. Because I was already thinking back in 2014, 2013, that the date of the pole shift can't be too far out. It can't be too far out because the Earth changes according to the Zeta Talk 7 out of 10, you know, the event scale. We're progressing. And we were seeing it progress. And I was seeing, so as I was projecting into the future, well, it can't be more than 5 or 6 years from about 2015, 2014, right? So the years went by, and then when I read that, I thought, oh my God, that is the date. That's the year, right? So that's how I got to that position that I believe that I was ready to hear the date. So I'm predicting a date. They're saying out a year, saying the year, and I so there's a very big difference there. And so I stand by my date, and that's my answer. Is that satisfactory, Adrian?
No, I think it makes sense. And of course, it's kind of thing that we always wonder, right? And the other thing also that we hear quite frequently is about the family, but the reality is you cannot force anybody to believe about the bullshit. It doesn't matter if you point out things people just don't believe, and the same about, I think, about the bullshit.
Yeah, it's just you just have to set your intentions, and just set your intentions, right? Thank you, Adrian.
Just quick to mention, Chris, the map you are using, which is the what's that sea level, for some reason is not working in all the browsers I tried here. So instead, I found another website that, at least in my computer, in my browser, is working. And I don't know why the one you are using is not working.
Actually, I'll show you that. Yeah, I'll show you something. That's an important point, because, okay, so if I type in, hey, what's that sea level? Oops, let me just, now, here we go. You can see this, right? So now here we have, you can see it's the correct URL right there, boom, right? That's the correct URL, it's not showing. I even might, when I refresh it. Now this is Chrome, okay? So I'm going to go back over to the tab I've been using with the same website in it. So here it is working, right? So now if I go back over to that new tab, refresh the page, it doesn't work. Well, it's, you could, even if you put in a threshold, it doesn't show the map. Okay, so what I was fiddling with it. Yeah, so what you do is you click on this link up here in the upper right here. It takes you to this page. Then you click on sea level. Now it works. So when will the internet and phones go down? That would be probably, well, there's rumblings now that the remaining dregs of the New World Order, they are making rumblings about slowing the internet and all this kind of thing. And Zeta Talk has commented on that as well in the recent Zeta Talk newsletter, I believe. But we are having a massive change, as I said, to our political structure on the globe. And I believe very strongly that these agendas, the New World Order agendas, are fast becoming realized as really empty, and they don't have any more resources to put these in place to do this type of interruption of the internet. And in fact, I think the internet is going to be better next year than it ever has been, due to something called the internet's going to be renewed, and they call it a quantum or something, but it's going to be improved. So when will it be impossible? I would say definitely say late fall 2022, it could happen. So going into the pole shift, late fall, that's my best guess. Another person is asking for the latest coordinates of the North Magnetic Pole. I can't find the coordinates of July nor August. Well, as far as I understand, the people who monitor the coordinates of the North Mag only do it once a year, unless they've upped their game. I haven't heard anything. Another thing is I don't really follow the position of the North Magnetic Pole, because it's not really the canary that everyone seems to think. I've already published the date of the pole shift, so watching the movement of the North Mag is not going to help. Not even if you didn't know the date of the pole shift, which I've published. If you didn't even know that, watching the North Mag is not going to help anyways. You're better off to watch the skies, right? What's happening to the sky. And but we know that by Baba Vanga, the year of the pole shift is 2023. It has to be. So it's just a question of watching the sky, and we know it's in a year or so. But the North Mag, movement of the North Mag is kind of a buzzword these days, because people are somehow, who knows, maybe what's left of the New World Order is they push junk information on the internet, right? They've been doing that for years. There's some goofy thing, and then if enough people get interested in it, and if it looks like it's a good enough distraction against the pole shift or the awareness of Planet X, then they push it. Then Google gets involved, and pretty soon you got all the hits, and you got all the data, false data coming through Google. And we know that Google is entirely compromised when it comes to anything to do with Planet X or the pole shift. I might try DuckDuckGo as a better option, in my opinion, for if you want to research stuff like that. DuckDuckGo as a search engine would be better. Adrian is another suggestion here. So yeah, that can work. Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, thanks, Adrian. Yeah, that's a fair enough suggestion. Okay, so Nat is saying also maybe a good idea to talk about different ways to store preps and supplies for after the poultry, ideas for underground storage for food, water, seeds, tools, shelter, and after time. I love the idea to bury the metal storage container for what we want to have after time to live and to establish. Yeah, so that's one area that I don't really work in is in the prepper area, frankly. I'm pretty sure that I'll get involved in that once, what myself personally, but right now I'm just focused, so I can't really comment that much. There's a lot of information on the internet about preppers right now.
Yes.
You know, there's a lot of information,
Mhm.
you know, and so I'm just, yeah, so I'm not there yet, actually, so,
Okay.
but I can't really comment on it that much.
Okay. Well, when we watched the video of where they buried the 2 metal containers,
Yeah,
and that was the exactly idea that I had for burying some metal containers where you can put supplies that you want to utilize for the after time,
yeah,
right? Like you had suggested in previous videos, like having yurt or somebody who's going to perhaps have a shelter, but they want to set it up after. So they have to have a way to store it
yeah,
until the time comes to use it. And it
yes,
has to be stored underground too.
yeah.
But
No,
how is it going to be stored underground,
yeah,
right? From getting, damaged by the water potentially,
very true.
etc. Right? Like it's all those practical things that I'm thinking of
Yeah,
at the moment,
yeah. Up until
until
now,
we get settled and start growing our food or fishing, hunting, etc. Right?
yeah,
We need to have something,
I
or
agree.
furniture. I don't know, like store your furniture, stuff that you may have in your house that you may want to save for after time. I don't know.
Yeah, oh,
That's
sure.
not going to get destroyed,
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
right?
I had a rather crude approach, is like you just dig a hole and put the yurt in it and wrap it up with a couple of tarps, right?
Yeah, that's what I was
There's
thinking.
different ways of
Yes.
doing it, but it's pretty crude.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it depends. See, it comes down to a person's resources.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I get it. Yeah. Or put
Yeah.
your food in buckets and just bury them under the ground.
Yeah, so so it's just, and then, but really, ultimately, it also comes down to, you want to be in a like-minded community.
Exactly.
So you're able to collaborate with others, and yeah, so that would be the best way going forward, I think, right?
I agree.
Yeah.
Very much so. Yeah.
So set your intentions for that, to have a community
Okay.
of people, because that's where we're going, right?
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Fair enough.
Yeah, thank you, Nat.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so okay, Dasha, I'm going to be using plastic 5-gallon buckets for food to store. Yeah, I guess you need a lot of 5-gallon buckets in that case, eh? So I haven't seen a pile of food that would be enough for a year and a half yet for a family. I haven't seen that piled up yet, so I don't know how big that is.
I have no idea,
I
but
have
that is
no
a good idea. Yeah.
It would be lovely
Yeah.
to see that if somebody was to pile that up, or to show it in piled up in there. And so, we've calculated this. This is enough food for us for a year and a half for a family of 4. That would be
Well,
amazing.
they say it's you want to estimate about 2,000 calories worth of food per person. That is an estimated if you take into consideration consuming about 2,000 calories per day per person. But you would want to take into account that there may be much more labor intensive physical type of work. So you want to account for higher calorie count. But on average, if the food is rationed, you can survive on, what was it, 2 million calories per person per year per family member.
Okay.
So
you
that's,
gotta break the calories down to bulk.
you got to break the calories down,
What's that gonna
but
look like?
break it down, hopefully nutritionally balanced between your carbs and protein and vegetables and such.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, my thought is that during the early after time, you would be relying on your food stores, but at the same time, obviously you're going to wait a few days for things to settle in the environment. Maybe for
Exactly.
the water to drain away or whatever
Yeah.
you're dealing with.
Yeah.
So you can get out and start, looking around. Maybe you can find something that you can eat. I don't know, right? It's not probably
Well,
not.
I don't know, with all the mess going on and nothing is going to survive.
That's a good point, right?
The vegetation, how well will the vegetation survive in the winds and stones coming down, rocks flying around everywhere?
Yep,
That's going to be a tough call. So I think for the minimum first year, maybe year and a half, like you say, it's going to be important to have that much food, water, or ways to filter water. And what I'm doing is I'm actually putting my food in what they're called Mylar bags. So they're completely sealed without the oxygen in it. So it's tight, it's airtight, there's no oxygen. And then placing them in those plastic buckets as it was suggested.
Yeah.
So there's another layer of protection. And whether that's going to go underground, just dug under, or in some other type of container, or just wrapped in a tarp like you suggested, I think
that
would be.
That was a yurt. I was suggesting, not food, but I was suggesting like 30-gallon buckets, right? Plastic buckets with air.
30, okay.
Lids, with watertight lids, right? That's what I was suggesting.
Okay.
Originally. Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's really important to think about. And of course, making sure seeds are part of your preps.
Oh yeah, and very much so. Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, ways of filtering water.
Yeah.
Some sort of filtration system like a Berkey filter, or knowing how to build a filter yourself.
Yeah. I have a friend back in 2008, I told about the pole shift, and she was an amazing green thumb. The expression green thumb, right?
Yes.
I mean, it doesn't even say who she is. She's amazing. And she grows, she's got like coffee plants, she's got grapefruit. This is in Canada. She's got oranges, lemons, and she's got bananas trees, and she's got everything. So many things growing.
Yeah.
But
and I've been thinking about starting to grow some of those trees, like avocado trees, orange trees, banana trees.
Yeah.
To start even now, so that they can start mature.
Yeah.
When because it takes time for them to.
It does.
Get going.
Yeah, I've got.
And to produce fruit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say, this friend of mine, so in 2008, I was saying, hey, is a pole shift coming? And so she was like all over it. And she went on and bought about $2,000 worth of seeds.
Oh, wow.
Because it shows you where she was motivated, right?
Yeah.
So, and then she set up this garden, this amazing garden in the city, and people would walk by and knock on her door. I mean, I lived there and nothing was ever done because I wasn't interested, but then we met, and then she took over the house when I moved away. But she created this amazing cornucopia of flowers and and trees over a period of a few years, and people will come up knocking on our door, right? This is like downtown Vancouver, or, you know, like where you've got crime going on, people come and knock on the door, can we walk through your garden?
Wow.
She's amazing, right? Anyway, so she bought all these seeds and stored them, but a lot of them died in the heat.
Oh,
Yeah, but that's okay. She recovered and she's got, but she is, yeah. So I think where I got my idea of foraging for food in the aftertime, where I got that from really is not foraging on the land, but the sea. Because I'll be fairly close to the sea when after the pole shift. So
okay.
so I have plans to, within a few weeks or a month, to get down and start fishing.
Yes, yes. That's where my idea of having a lake nearby as important. Or I've also had an idea of having a pond and populating with fish. But
Right.
then I thought, well, how would the fish survive? If you have all the sloshing going on, would the fish survive in a pond where you can,
Probably.
would they?
They would, yeah.
Mm.
I mean, it's not because you're not going to have the same type of forces applied to the sea, because you've got people, rather lots of pictures of the many millions and millions and millions of fish that are dying now, right?
Yes.
And there's a reason for it because of what's going on with the sea bottom and
Exactly.
other factors, right?
Yeah, and
But
volcanic
if you had
activities.
a nice natural pond or a small lake, I think that would be a more stable, especially in Algonquin Park, right?
Yeah.
Right. You know, so I think that would be a very, you follow your waking dreams, right? Which type of fish to get, right? Cutthroat, trout, or are you going to get, you know? So
Trout, bass, pike, pickerel.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So
There's a really good fishing in Ontario.
awesome. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So that would
Yeah.
be. Yes, thank you. Now, yeah, so the discussion about food storage could go on, you know, and they're right that, you know, I have a friend in Colorado and she's in her safe location and she's bought herself a freeze dryer, not a food
Oh,
dryer,
freeze dryer. Okay.
freeze dryer.
Okay.
The cereal.
Yeah, that's
amazing.
yes.
Yeah.
Those are amazing. That's a really great equipment to have.
Yeah.
I have a food dehydrator.
Yeah.
And I use to dehydrate a lot of my even things that I forage out in the wild to store for after. But a food, what was it called? Dry freeze machinery.
Freeze dryer.
Freeze dryer, yes. Those are, yes, they're amazing. But I use a food dehydrator so that nothing needs to be refrigerated or frozen.
Yeah.
But for seeds, the most ideal long-term storage for them would be in the freezer until obviously you can't no longer keep them in the freezer.
Right. Now,
But
do you know that the freeze dryer, the finished product is bone dry, right? It doesn't need to be kept frozen, right? It's just
exactly.
okay.
Exactly. But I'm talking about seeds. If seeds are kept for long term, if they're kept frozen,
okay,
they can keep for a long time.
okay, yeah.
That's where the seed vaults, the global seed vaults are located in Greenland. The governments are preparing for the pole shift.
Yeah. Got to have seeds. I agree with you. Thanks for saying that.
Exactly.
It's like this food's one thing, but
no problem.
Yeah. Adrian is saying eating insects is a solution. I don't know. I don't think I'll be eating insects.
Well,
my last resort.
just a suggestion, if I can give it. Try the link I just sent from Amazon. You see that is not bad as you would ever dream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard the June bugs are edible too, but They don't look very appetizing.
Who would want to eat a beautiful June bug? I mean, they're so beautiful, right?
I disagree.
June bugs?
June bugs?
Yeah.
Big, brown, ugly little creatures?
Oh,
No.
there's a different June bug because we have a June bug here in Western Canada that is iridescent and green.
Oh,
Beautiful
no.
creature. He's a beautiful fellow.
In Ontario, they look like big cockroaches.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah. But I guess if you're starving, you might try it
Oh, God, I'm
if
sorry.
you have to.
I don't know. I'd rather eat the bark of a tree or a grass or dig up a root.
Agree. Yes.
No.
Agree.
I think
Learning.
the idea is, sorry, the idea of eating insects would be more applicable to I hate to say this to Asian communities. They seem to be involved more in eating insects. The Asian.
Same. Same in Mexico.
Oh, is in Mexico they eat it? I did not know that.
Grasshoppers is quite the regular delicacy that is consumed, from my understanding.
Okay.
Yeah,
so it's
And just to mention, back in Brazil, in the northeast area, the native population, they also eat many different sorts of insects.
Yeah, like mealworms. Mealworms. I think I could try mealworms.
I suppose eating insects would be something that people would be doing more under not duress, but where, well, they didn't have anything else to eat. They didn't plan, plan ahead,
Well, here's the thing, because I have been reading about insects especially for the pole shift. From what I understand, during the pole shift, it will be pretty hard for you to, at least in the beginning, to be able to harvest food, have like your potatoes growing, or I don't know, your tomatoes and so on, right? And you can actually start to kind of produce type of insect plantation, and you don't need to have light for doing that, and they reproduce pretty fast, right? So then, of course, once you have them ready to harvest, you need also to learn how to kind of cook it, right? So at least you're not going to eat insect raw, you're going to prepare them, right? So just like as you would do with any other thing.
Yep, exactly. I mean, that's a good alternative to have. Absolutely. But I think I'll go fishing first.
Yeah, good idea. If you have a lake nearby, is better.
Yeah.
I'll bury my fishing pole. Make sure it's handy.
Yeah.
I'll use the worms for fishing.
Yeah, there you go.
Good idea.
And then of course Bob he's gone for now, I think, but he's saying, chickens and rabbits. He says you get a salt block to attract deer and make eat at a hunt, but who's going to clean that? Who's going to clean that deer? Clean as in dress or prepare for cooking, right? Gut. Right?
Yes,
Skin.
process the meat.
Yeah. This is why I laugh at these. I chuckle at these homes that people invent. I don't know who they come up with, but they're these little egg homes, these little portable little homes with embedded solar panels on them, and this would be great for the aftertime. I'm like, yeah, but where's the shop? What kind of a kitchen does it have? And you're going to need a room for all kinds of food storage and prep. You probably need a huge room for food prep, because you got to deal with the dross or whatever, like you're working with vegetables. You got to have drying racks, and you got to have all kinds of space. And these little these little pods, you know, it's like they're just not going to work. You need some space. Okay, so Adrian asks, can it be a viable strategy to have your pole shift shelter 2 hours drive from your workspace? Well, it would depend on the route. If the route was stable, and of course, I wouldn't expect a person to be working in the last few months of before the pole shift. I can't see that happening. There'd be too much disarray, you know, don't you think, Adrian?
Well, if that's going to be the case, then absolutely, I would say that having your shelter 2 hours from your workplace is something doable. Yeah, even I would even consider that, let's say if we are not able to work, let's say 5 months before the pole shift, then even would be a good strategy that you decide to find a place to build your shelter as far as possible from the city.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, yeah. So if a person has to work up to, you know, the last week or two before the pole shift, that's a little crazy making in my mind. I can't imagine a person. But when you say a 2 hours drive, you're just talking 2 hours away. What's that like? That's like that's about, yeah, I was going to say 50 miles or so, or 100 miles if you're traveling very, very fast, which I highly doubt anyone would be able to travel extremely fast during those days, because there's going to be a lot of people on the move. And if you're driving on any road, there's likely to have abandoned cars that are broken down and people walking on the road or traffic jams. 2 hours might mean you going only 10 miles.
Do you believe that, let's say, kind of the society before the pole shift is going to break down like 5 months, 3 months before, or how let's say how
Well,
for how long banks and schools and hospitals are expected to eventually still work before they shut down, before everybody leave their workplace behind?
very difficult, because to answer that, because of the massive changes that are coming to the culture as a result of the change, massive, unprecedented change, political changes that are coming. And there's going to be a lot of military involvement. The military will be converted to police. I guess it would depend on how soon, the time frame we're talking about before the pole shift, because like you say, the people were saying earlier, I believe, that when people become aware of the pole shift, then there could very well be some troubles. This is why I don't believe that the pole shift will ever be directly announced. And if it was, then we would have in some country, I just can't see it being isolated to a country. But if it was, you'd have to have a massive military presence to control the population. And I don't see any benefit myself of, because like you were saying, well, I believe you were saying earlier, when people are in denial, they're in denial. You know, I envision that many people will be so watching TV and drinking beer in December of 2022. They'll still be the feet up on the watching TV, cooking up whatever they can find, right?
I don't know if I cry or if I laugh, but probably that's the case.
Yeah,
Chris?
yeah, Bob, yeah.
Want to throw in kind of with my plans, I'm looking at getting out of town, obviously. We're on the island, we got to go over a mountain.
Yeah, we do.
But I'm going to, in the near town closer to where I want to be, I want to get a storage locker and move all my stuff up to there.
Yeah.
And then from the storage locker, move it to my site.
You told me that 11 years ago.
Well, I haven't had to do it yet. But in British Columbia anyways, I don't know if you guys can do it where you're at. I'm not at this point, I'm not in position to buy land or anything like that. But we can get a free miner certificate and stake a mineral claim. Once you have the mineral claim, nobody can keep you off the mineral claim. So all my stuff will be close to the claim, the closest as I can put it. And then I'm gonna leave town months early. And I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna get myself set up. Basically around here, you're gonna be in the woods in most places. Right?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
So then hopefully if things go right with this big RV thing and I make a pile of money, then I can buy some steel containers and bring them in. But that's kind of the idea, is to do it in stages, to get my stuff out of town and then get me out of town. And if I'm doing that months before, you know, like maybe October, November, something like that, I'm gonna have to do the winter. But here we get a lot of rain, we don't get much snow. So that's not much of a problem. That's kind of my plan, is to do it in stages to get the heck out of here.
Of course, it depends where you're staking your claim. Because, you know, we know what that means. We know that means, well, okay, but just for the sake of watchers, Bob and I have worked together for years and discussed these subjects for years together. And we live in the same city and on Vancouver Island. And so anyway, so we know that the only places we can go are higher. Obviously, we need to go higher, right? So, which will involve snow. And we also know that the pole shift is during the winter, shall we say, late winter, February 4. It's winter enough. And if you go up into where we're talking about, which it would be north of Cowichan Lake and south of Campbell River, say, for example, right? We're talking mountains that we'll be definitely having snow. So I think you should plan on having to deal with that. Certainly after you get there, say you get there in December and it's still not too bad, you could expect January, you know, lots of snow. And also too, the weather going forward, we know is going to be pretty nuts. Pardon?
Who knows what's gonna come?
I know, but we know it's going to be either, we have to have a lot of snow and a lot of rain. We know we're going to get that, right? A lot of rain, right? So,
A lot of rain, yeah.
but at some point there will be a lot of snow, and if we get that much rain, and then going up these roads that we've been talking about, that you and I know about, a lot of these roads, you know, they're pretty iffy on drainage.
Yeah, I don't want to be doing that
No, but
when it's close to the shift time. I'd rather do it when it's nicer weather and,
you totally, yeah.
you know, that's the idea, is to, by planning ahead, and I do a lot of prepping as well, but by planning ahead, you get everything out. You're out of town and you're away from everything before the people start migrating out, but also before the winter hits.
Yeah.
You know, I got to plan on that, because if they're not running snow plows, you're not going to be going anywhere.
That means next fall, right?
Yeah.
That next fall.
I figure I'll be October, November, I'll be out of
Yeah,
here.
oh, yeah, before November, I hope.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Especially around
because
here, November's the worst.
the weather would be too unpredictable for November for this area, right? Speaking of Vancouver Island, for the rest of us.
And we're going to have a ride,
Oh, we're gonna have a ride.
because the whole island is moving.
Yeah. That's during the pole shift, yeah.
Yeah, about 100 miles, I think it
Yeah,
is.
yeah,
Yes. Or-
But I don't think we'll even feel that. You know, it'll just be.
Oh,
just
we
be
won't
a
notice
whole
because
lot of-
everything else is
a lot
shaking.
of vibrating, right? Like,
Yeah.
but we'll be hunkered down. Yeah, thanks, Bob. Michelle is saying, I get information the pole shift will be November 2023, but still want to be prepped by February. I wonder, you know, where people get these dates from. I really do, you know. I wonder, you know, it's like we've been hearing them for years. Oh, it's going to be in 2015, or it's going to be 2012. 2012 is definitely going to be the date, right? So December 21st, 2012, right? Michelle?
I got it from.
Yeah, go ahead. Oh, hi, Michelle. This is Michelle
Hi.
in Queensland, right?
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, hi, Michelle.
Yeah, no, I was just, you know how you do, like, you use like a pendulum?
Yeah, I know it. Yep.
Yeah, well, I use like muscle testing instead. So that's
Okay.
where I was getting,
Okay.
like, just using my own body information.
Okay.
But
All
then
right.
the fun, because my sister was talking to this very sort of high frequency healer that we both know,
Yeah.
and she said that there's going to be some sort of convergence of timelines, and that people will have an opportunity to like move over to a different timeline. And the date that this person was talking about was the 8th and 9th of November 2023. I'm like, oh, that's what I was getting, November 2023. So maybe
Okay,
something
so
will
this
happen.
converging of timelines, could you explain that a bit more?
Well, I haven't watched the video,
So
but
you got to define what timeline means, you know,
well,
because we say a word or a phrase, and everyone that hears it's got a different idea as to what it means.
all I can tell you is that I have been having dreams of a reality that doesn't look quite like here. It's different. And I assume it's just what Earth would be like after the shift. In my mind, it's like, okay, the shift is like a birthing process for this nicer, peaceful, calm life that I see myself in the future. And I do have a history of prophetic dreams. So I know from my own, I trust when I have a particular dream, there's a certain feel about it. I know it's something in the future, but now I'm wondering if it's if there's some sort of switch to a different.
Well, yeah, well, we know a different dimension.
Sort of. It's happened to me once before. I walked into the bathroom and it wasn't the same bathroom, but then when I walked out of it, I was back in my normal house.
Wow, that's
So it's
fantastic. That's fantastic. What a great story. What a great event. Yeah,
well,
I heard about those things. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, you
So-
definitely stepped into a different well, I guess you could call that a timeline. Yeah. That would be what I
yeah,
would call a different dimension. So it was your house, it's your
it was
bathroom
still,
on a higher in a higher dimension.
yeah, just a different, I don't know, something was different about the bathroom. Like there was a mark on the tiles, and I was going crazy trying to clean it, but it wasn't really there because when I went back into the bathroom, it wasn't there.
Yeah. It sounds like that was a master waking dream. Like it was real. Like I'm not
Yes,
talking about it, but it's
Oh,
it's dreamlike, isn't it? Or no, I mean disagree. I just want to hear this. I'm asking you, was it dreamlike?
no, not when I went into a different bathroom.
Okay.
It wasn't. No.
Okay. So you were very conscious of it. You were
Yeah,
very
I was
conscious. Yeah.
scrubbing the tile because I couldn't understand where this mark came from.
Well, yeah, I would say, yeah, it was definitely you moved into a different dimension. And on that case, in my opinion. So that's an amazing story.
So yeah, that's why I'm like, okay, maybe if nothing happens by February, I'm still prepping for November.
Okay. Well, fair enough. Where I was going with that is that over the years, we've had people say these dates and it just didn't make any sense to me at all at the time, during the time, right? Like like it's going to be next October,
Yeah.
or it's going to be next year in the spring. I'm like, where did you get that idea? Where did you get that from? It's like, what? It's only about a year away, and we're not even touched the 7 out of 10 event scale yet. So how can you say it's going to happen in a year? It's like, I'm like, where does? And so I came to the conclusion that a lot of this, these people that come up with these ideas, they're just kids living in their mom's basement and their mom paid for the internet connection. And they come up, really, it's like, where do they ever get these ideas from? Because there's no physics involved, right? Anyways,
Exactly.
but from what you're telling me, that's a different event. Now, if you said that the date was in sometime in November 2023, if you were saying that, then that would have a lot more weight to it, in my opinion, because what I know about you. But this guy, you said, this person reported to you about saying it was in November 2023 from a video?
I haven't, yeah.
Yeah.
And they were specifically talking about 2 different timelines coming together and then separating. And so you could either be on the higher path if your vibration is high enough, and you get to move into a different timeline where things are a lot nicer, and then timeline's a bit more difficult, is basically their theory. I haven't watched it. It's
Okay.
true or not. Found it
Well,
interesting.
yeah, it's
that we
pretty
both-
hard. Yeah, it's pretty hard to discuss that when you're talking about these things, because there's the physics of spirituality is heavily involved by heavily influenced by well, on the lower level, by religion. And I'll be honest with you, I think also the drug culture is also affected it, like LSD and this kind of stuff. People taking other, like peyote or whatever, certain drugs, that kind of thing. Yeah, well, I mean, I'm just on the fly here, but I need to see some spiritual physics involved, right? So if you've got well, it's a very broad and difficult topic to get into, but yeah, I'd have to tune into the guy's soul energy, right? Did you do that? I'm sure you can do that, Michelle.
I haven't looked at the video yet. I'm
No, but
waiting to have a phone meeting with this healer so I can get some more details about it. Yeah.
okay, so but can you check into his soul energy?
I have no idea who he is.
I
I
know,
would
but
have to.
you wouldn't need to know, because I can do it. I can check into his soul energy to see where he's on the scale. I can't give you a number, but I can do that with people, anyone that I know their name, right? Or
Yes,
see
but
their
I
face.
don't. That's what I'm saying. I don't actually know
Okay,
who it is.
so I believe that you probably have that skill. You haven't used it yet. Because if you're walking into it, if you have the vibration where you can walk into a bathroom and have it on a different level, that's you're operating on a capability of operating on a high level of vibratory level, right?
I am. Other people pick it up about me, but I haven't truly recognized it myself. But
Yeah.
when I go and get a reading or something with a clairvoyant, they're like, you should be sitting here and giving me a reading. I'm like, what are you talking about? So
You see,
people,
this is what I suspected about you, right?
it wasn't about, I've never seen the pole shift in any sort of vision. I've seen my life in the future, and I've seen these lovely beings come and rescue me from some sort of conflict, but I haven't ever seen the storm. So, but if I'm in a bunker, I wouldn't see it anyway.
That's right. I will report to you what my friend Moshe said and it's in my book actually. He wrote to me and in Israel, and he had an amazing. I would hardly call it a dream. It was a pole shift event dream, and he said it was like the thunder and the lightning was deafening, and he said that he could see the lightning was hitting the rock and virtually splitting the rock during the pole shift. It's in the book. I was so impressed with that story. I put it in my book, but so it's a very, very active, damaging, and powerful and thundering event.
Okay. All right. So if the aliens come and pick me up, then I might just
You might just take them up on it. Yeah, some people are getting a lift, as Zetas put it, during the pole shift, right? And a lot of people are getting a lift. You'll be picked up and dropped off, but you won't remember it. This is apparently
Okay, that might make sense because, yeah, I've asked my spirit team, you know, if I would be protected, and they just show me being in this like glass bubble, and I never saw the storm.
yeah.
And but
Because
anyway,
because you don't need to. Yeah.
yeah, I don't.
I mean, I haven't seen it in the way Moshe's seen it. I've seen it in different, like in flooding and earthquake movement. In a live, I had a live fully conscious event where I experienced the pole shift, but it was all it was vibrating, and I could barely stand. I could barely stay standing upright, right? Because it was a push-up vibration from the ground. And I've had my friend in Colorado. She's seen the pole shift from the sky, flying in the sky as soul. And that's how she reported to me. She was flying around and being shown different parts of the globe while it was happening. And this is why I don't recommend the southern portions of the Big Island of Hawaii, because she saw it as completely blackened.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, during the pole shift.
Yeah.
So I get these people that write these things to me, and I talk to, and I assemble my own picture. And sometimes I can use it in safe location planning for people. It would be nice to have an large underground bunker, so that you could have a nice undisturbed airspace during the pole shift. That would be nice. And you'd be insulated from the sound, the tremendous sounds of the pole shift itself. And you could, yeah, that would be my idea of a. Did I tell you about the people in Melbourne? And he's building he's having it built.
I'm just wondering if this is the concrete bunker.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, totally underground. Yeah,
Cool.
total
Yeah,
house underground.
I don't have those funds yet, but
No, this is a $500,000.
my
It's a
go-to.
$500,000 just to build the underground bunker.
Oh gosh,
And he
that'd be
told
nice.
me I gave them a full-on private consultation, and he promised to send me the plans. So at some point I get to see the plans and make some comments, because these guys that build these bunkers, they aren't pole shift aware, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
They're bunker builders, right? Prepper guys, right?
Yeah, and mostly we're just concerned about bushfires here in Australia.
I know. That's something that I've finally become to, that I realize that the Zetas have said a number of times over the years, that the forest of the globe will burn.
Oh.
You know?
Oh, we're in for such fun.
I know. It's such a ball, isn't it? I'm finally coming down to it, that I have to address that in my, I do say, have been saying for years now, we have to watch out for fire. But now I have to say, plan on your forest, your beautiful forest, to burn down, at least to burn through, right? Burn through. That's the difference, right? Because if it burns through, you still have lumber to work with.
Sure, yeah.
You still, but it'll grow again. Vass is asked, are you sure the pole shift is what we have to worry about? Oh, are you here? You're here, Vass. What do you mean? What do you mean by that? The other day I had a dream, and in the dream, I was walking. I remember seeing the tall trees, and then the mushroom cloud was so great that I was blown off my feet. That's when I woke up. Asteroid strike. Okay. Well, to answer your picture directly, if you're underground in some kind of bunker, and frankly, if the asteroid, if a large enough asteroid was to strike the bunker, then I guess the reality is that you were destined to die. you know?
Yes, I'm here. That's what I
Yeah.
thought.
And there's certainly nothing wrong with that, you know, that would be, and in fact, that would be an instant death. So that's
Right.
actually a blessing, actually. So it's just a transition and then away you go. Did you have any comments against that? Or to
No,
that?
not at all. I was just questioning what I saw.
Yeah. Yeah. So you had this, that was a dream that you had. Have you had thoughts of nuclear detonations, or have you been concerned about that?
Not at all.
Okay, all right.
It reminded me of a nuclear explosion, what I saw, because I saw
Yeah.
the mushroom cloud.
Yeah. Well, I would imagine if a large asteroid was to hit the ground, there would be some form of a cloud like that. Now, the fact that you saw the cloud, right, in the dream, means that it didn't land on you.
Right.
So that is kind of the way I think you need to look at the dreams, because the dream is highly suggestive. That's what I'm reading from that. You were blown off your feet, then you woke up. Well, a person can be blown off their feet and survive quite easily, right?
Right. I understood that also.
Yeah.
Sort of mad after they sleep.
Oh, and then you woke up. Yeah. So then that's a very, very interesting dream. Was there any other elements to the dream that you can remember?
Oh, I was just walking. It
Okay.
wasn't in the woods, it was on a street,
Okay.
and lots of trees around me. Really tall trees. I felt like I was in near woods or something. And then I saw a mushroom cloud, a great mushroom cloud, and then I went flying in the air,
Okay.
and then I woke. That was it.
Okay. Well, it could be that it's a confirmation to you that the pole shift is real. Maybe you needed that.
Oh, I didn't need that.
Okay.
I understood.
Yeah, but when you get blown off your feet, it's a different experience from reading about the pole shift.
Right.
Because that's why we have these dream experiences, because they give you information that you can't get from mind. So hence you get the pole shift dreams. There's so many different types of pole shift dreams. I mean, I remember waking up just shaking from seeing flooding everywhere. I looked out the window and everywhere I could see was sea. It was covered with debris. Right?
Mhm.
That's what I saw in one of my dreams, right? And like, holy God, it's like, so you get that sense of urgency.
Mhm.
It wakes you up. But everyone gets what they need in the dream state.
Just made me wonder whether we had to worry about something prior to the pole shift. That's all.
Well, we do have to be, aware of the temperature, the weather and the rain and the change in the axis of the Earth to be shifting, right? Which is going to cause all kinds of events to happen. Highly doubt that if you watch some of these asteroid videos coming in now, we're seeing on the internet, and if you watch very closely, you'll often see a point of light that's flying ahead of the asteroid, the big asteroid that's in the process of breaking up, and that's a UFO monitoring the sizes asteroid as they break up, so that they can destroy on the fly any rocks, any pieces of the asteroid before it hits the ground, because we're being protected from that. That's what I believe. Because you watch, I've seen a number, 2 or 3 of them, and there's a point of light that's traveling exactly the same speed as the incoming asteroid as it's breaking up, and it's right ahead of it. So that's got to be UFO, and I know we're being protected, right? So I don't know why I got onto that. Yeah, because, yeah, I think it's probably a wake-up dream for you. I think that's what that is personally, but that's just my, it's your dream, but that's just my idea on that. You're welcome, Beth. Oh, here we got, somebody's got, oh, Greenland, okay. This is the Greenland, video. Yeah, that's, Adrian shared that. I watched that movie. They have all these very large asteroids on fire, striking the ground all over the place, which I don't think that'll be the case. It'll be more like raining sideways boulders but not on fire, right? But it's certainly well worth watching. Well, it's certainly entertaining anyways, that's all I can say. I'm just going through the questions, make sure I got it. Oh, Sheila, are you still here?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, hi, Sheila. Fifth dimension, she asks. They say that Earth is moving to the fifth dimension, which I don't buy. I think it's moving to the fourth, the upper fourth dimension, actually. I can't see any reason why it would skip an entire massive dimension, such as the fourth dimension, which has many layers in it, why it would pass right through the entire fourth all the way to the fifth. So hence, I think there's often a breakdown in what people think the fifth dimension is and what the fourth dimension is, So I would say the Earth is, anyways, I believe is going to go to the upper to mid. I'm getting the mid fourth dimension, but I don't believe that will be happening I think it'll take many, many decades to happen. And also many decades before it'll even begin to happen. Myself, that's my opinion so far. If I get any dreams or any information, I'm certainly going to report it here. Mana has a comment here. Hi, Chris, I'm new here, but awake for a while. All this makes a lot of sense for me because I also made lots of dreams of me in the aftermath. You mean the after time? This for a long time, since I was a teenager. Can you tell me about safer places in Quebec, Canada, please? So Western Quebec, probably the best place to be, although Eastern Quebec looks like it's going to be about 50 degrees north latitude, which is about where I live now. So that's not too shabby as far as weather is concerned. Probably central to Western Quebec. Now, this is the current West. The only problem with parts of Quebec, the northern parts, is the permafrost line. So that basically takes you to a few miles short of the Bay of St. James. I believe that's St. James Bay. Well, anyways, this bay here, I thought it was called St. James Bay. I'm not certain, but I think we know what we're talking about. About at the Kesagami Provincial Park, and south would be below the permafrost line. Now, if we would go back to the permafrost line there, it carries, well, it's, for central Quebec, we're looking at an area of isolated permafrost. Okay. But there's still lots of space, lots of land in central to shall we, I don't want to say southern Quebec, but if we call it central Quebec, you can see my cursor here. So if you were to go back to the map, obviously that's along the Gulf of along the St. Lawrence there. So really, there, of course, the farther east you go, the cooler it's going to be. So I would say from Sept-Îles and west, and if you were south of Lake Mistassini, okay, So if you're along this line here and south and west of Septil, that puts you out of the permafrost area. And the reason why you want to be out of the permafrost area is because after the pole shift, the permafrost will melt, causing all kinds of problems. Unless you're familiar with dealing with permafrost melting and that kind of thing. I wish Carl was here. We have a regular, and he has land, I believe, in northern Ontario or somewhere. Anyways, Quebec and in Gaspé. He might know about that, how to deal with that. But I understand it's quite problematic. So if you want to avoid that problem, I should say stick to this area here in Quebec. You have lots of choice. And you know, it's not that populated along the well, it's not that badly populated along the St. Lawrence River there. I would imagine you wouldn't have to go too far from the St. Lawrence into the mountains there, into the hills, to find some very nice locations. So you have lots of choice in Quebec. Oh, so okay. So you're near Quebec City. So if you were to go back, now that I know where you are, I don't know what the property prices are up there, but you've got lots of choice. You don't have to go too far. 13 or 14 or 15 miles would almost be enough. Even less because of the terrain, see? Be lots of places to find up in there. Okay, you got lots of choice. So you're good there. Well, she's asking, do I have to go on a mountain? You don't want to be, if you're going to go on a mountain, then you want it to be flat or enough flan to make it safe. Now, if we were to go to, so if we were to go up in here, this land is not too steep. It's all good. It's not that steep. Like you don't have high jagged mountains. Here we got a little more slope here. I wouldn't, for example, this is just an example. You wouldn't want to set up on a slope like that, but up here you would be okay. Because it's flat enough up there. Here is on the top, it's flat enough to work, okay? You wouldn't want to set up here because that's a draw where water will settle. I hope this is helping. Obviously, this is a no-no in here because that'll become a raging torrent of water through here. But up top, you're fine. Up top, you're fine. Here, this area here is all pretty not too steep. So this all works in here, areas like that. Okay, this is all just north of Quebec City. This looks like a logged area. And so you get lots and lots of choice. Okay, up there. I guess we'll call it a night if we're done. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Chris.
Oh, you're very welcome. Very welcome.
Thank you so much for everything.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, you're welcome, Vass. Okay.
Those were 3.5, not 2.5.
Sorry, Bob?
It was 3.5, not 2.5.
Was it 3.5? What?
Yeah.
You're right, it is 3.5. Good God. All right. My
That was
God.
good, thanks.
That's the longest one yet. Okay. So I'll say good night. It was night time here, and wishing you thanks for your input, Adrian.
Thank you. Nice talking to you, Chris, and everybody else. We appreciate your help.
Okay, you're very welcome. Lots of fun. Okay, so we'll say good night and all the best to everybody.